When Zara Beaumont declared, "I don't date white men," to a stranger in a coffee shop, she had no idea she was speaking to the man who would shatter every rule she'd built around her heart. The privileged heiress thought she had her life perfectly controlled until her luxury SUV broke down on a narrow bridge and a humble mechanic with kind eyes appeared like destiny itself. But Zara's powerful family had other plans, and they were willing to destroy an innocent man's reputation to keep their daughter in line. What started as a simple car repair would ignite a war between love and legacy, where million-dollar bribes, buried secrets, and calculated betrayals would test whether true love could survive the brutal machinery of family expectations. In the end, someone would lose everything, but who would fall and who would rise triumphant might surprise you more than you think. If you're watching this story unfold, hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from, because this tale of forbidden love and family warfare is just getting started, and you won't want to miss what happens next. The wind whipped across the narrow bridge like it had somewhere important to be. Zara Beaumont gripped the steering wheel of her white SUV and watched the dashboard lights blink angry red warnings at her. Cars honked behind her. The bridge was too narrow for them to pass. Her heart hammered in her chest. "Come on," she whispered to her car. "Not today." She turned the key again. Nothing. The engine was dead as a stone. More honking. A truck driver leaned on his horn so long it sounded like a cry for help. Zara felt her face burn with embarrassment. She was blocking traffic on the only bridge out of town during rush hour. She grabbed her phone to call for help, but her hands shook. The wind rocked her SUV. Cars stretched behind her like a line of angry metal beasts. Then she saw him in her mirror. A man climbed out of a plain white service truck. He moved calm and steady, like the wind couldn't touch him. He set orange cones around her car and walked to the angry drivers behind her. "Single file around the lady," he called out. "Take your time, be safe." One by one, the cars crept around her SUV. The man directed traffic with simple hand signals, no rushing, no drama, just quiet help. When the last car passed, he walked to her window. Zara rolled it down. "Engine trouble?" he asked. He was tall and lean, with work-rough hands and kind brown eyes. His voice was gentle, like he was talking to a scared animal. "It just died," Zara said. All the lights came on at once. "I'm Evan," he said. "I fix cars. Mind if I take a look?" Zara nodded. She watched him pop the hood and lean over the engine. His movements were sure and careful. He touched wires and checked connections like he was reading a story only he could understand. "Found it," he said after a few minutes. He held up a loose cable. "Battery connection came loose. Happens more than you'd think." He cleaned the cable with a small brush from his pocket. He tightened the connection and checked it twice. Then he closed the hood and wiped his hands on a clean rag. "Try her now," he said. Zara turned the key. The engine purred to life like it had never been sick at all. "How much do I owe you?" she asked. "Nothing," Evan said, "just being neighborly." He handed her a simple white card with his name and phone number written in neat handwriting. No fancy logo, no website, just Evan Cole, mobile mechanic. "Thank you," Zara said. "Really, you saved me." Evan smiled. It was small and real. "Glad to help." He walked back to his truck and packed up his tools. Zara sat for a moment, watching him work. He moved like a man who knew exactly who he was. She drove off the bridge feeling lighter somehow. 20 minutes later, Zara pulled into the parking lot of Mina's Coffee just off the bridge. Her hand still shook a little from the stress. She needed caffeine and 5 minutes to collect herself. The coffee shop was warm and bright. A few customers sat at small tables, talking quietly. Zara ordered her usual lavender latte and found a corner table by the window. She was checking her emails when someone sat at the table next to hers. It was Evan. He had a plain black coffee and was looking at his phone. When he saw her, he nodded politely. "Car running okay?" he asked. "Perfect," Zara said. "Thank you again." Something about his calm presence made her nervous. Maybe it was the way he looked at her, not like she was Zara Beaumont, heiress to the Beaumont hotel chain, just like she was a person who'd needed help. "I should probably tell you," she said suddenly. "I don't date white men." The words came out harder than she meant them to. She'd said them before to other men who'd helped her or done business with her family. It was easier to be clear up front than to deal with awkward situations later. Evan looked at her for a moment. His face didn't change. No anger, no hurt, no surprise. "Okay," he said simply. "I was fixing your car, not auditioning." He stood up, picked up his coffee cup, and threw it in the trash. "Hope your evening goes well," he said, and walked out the door. Zara sat alone at her table, feeling smaller than she had in years. The drive home took forever. Every red light felt like punishment. Zara kept thinking about Evan's face when she'd said those words. He hadn't gotten angry or tried to argue with her. He'd just accepted what she said and moved on. Most men would have made a scene, or tried to convince her she was wrong, or gotten offended and said something mean back. But Evan had just said okay and walked away. At the next red light, Zara looked down at the passenger seat. There, on the cream-colored leather, was a small silver wrench. It must have fallen out of Evan's pocket when he was fixing her car. She picked it up and turned it over in her hands. It was warm from the sun through her window. The metal was worn smooth from use, but it was clean and well kept. The dashboard clock flipped to 6:01 p.m. Same day, same mess she'd made with her big mouth and her rules. Zara looked at the wrench again. She knew where Evan's garage was. The address was on the card he'd given her. She could just throw the wrench away, or mail it to him, or leave it at the garage when he wasn't there. But something about that felt cowardly. The light turned green. Zara made a U-turn and drove toward the garage. Evan's shop was in an old building on Pine Street, wedged between a laundromat and a taco truck. The sign out front was simple black letters, Cole Mobile Mechanic. 2 garage bays sat open to the evening air. Zara parked and walked inside. The smell of motor oil and coffee filled her nose. It wasn't unpleasant. It smelled like honest work. Evan was closing up for the day. A young man with a friendly face was sweeping the floor. "Zara," Evan said when he saw her, no surprise in his voice. "Everything okay with the car?" "The car's fine," she said. She held out the wrench. "You left this." Evan took it from her hand. Their fingers brushed for just a second. "Thanks," he said. "I was wondering where this went." The young man stopped sweeping and grinned. "Fate via lost wrench," he said. "I've heard worse meet-cute stories." "Tariq," Evan said, but his voice was gentle. "Time to head home." Tariq winked at Zara and finished sweeping. He hung up the broom and grabbed his jacket. "Nice meeting you, wrench lady," he said as he walked out. Zara and Evan stood alone in the quiet garage. The only sound was the tick of cooling metal and distant traffic. "I owe you an apology," Zara said. "What I said at the coffee shop, it was rude." "You were being direct," Evan said. "I respect that. Still, you helped me, and I was ungrateful." Evan hung the wrench on a pegboard where every tool had its own labeled spot. The hook was marked "Bridge Job" in neat handwriting. "You weren't ungrateful," he said. "You thanked me 3 times. Zara smiled despite herself. "You counted?" "I notice things," Evan said. He looked at her seriously. "Your rule is your rule. I don't take it personal." They stood there for a moment. The evening light slanted through the garage doors, making everything golden. "If you want peace of mind about the car," Evan said, "I could do a routine check tomorrow morning, 8:30, no charge, just good service." Zara found herself nodding before she'd even decided. Okay, Evan said. Zara walked back to her SUV feeling strange, like something had shifted in her chest and she couldn't figure out what. As she drove away, she looked in her rearview mirror. Evan was standing in the garage doorway, watching her go. At exactly 7:02 p.m., he turned and walked back inside. She found herself smiling. The next morning, Zara almost didn't show up. She sat in her kitchen at 8:15, drinking coffee and staring at Evan's business card. This was silly. Her car was fine. She didn't need a checkup, and she definitely didn't need to spend more time with Evan Cole, whose calm brown eyes made her feel like her carefully built walls were made of paper. But at 8:27, she pulled into his garage anyway. "Right on time," Evan said. He wore clean jeans and a gray t-shirt that had seen better days but was obviously cared for. "I'm always on time," Zara said. "I noticed." He led her to the first bay where her SUV waited. A clipboard with a checklist sat on a rolling cart nearby. "Basic maintenance check," he said. "Oil, battery, belts, fluids. Takes about 20 minutes. I'll show you what I'm doing so you know what to look for." Zara had never had anyone explain car maintenance to her before. The service center at the dealership just handed her bills and told her what needed fixing. But Evan made it simple. He showed her how to check the oil dipstick and read the levels. He explained why battery terminals got corroded and how to spot it early. "This is the radiator cap," he said, pointing to a silver cap under the hood. "Never open it when the engine's hot. Wait at least an hour after driving." "Why?" Zara asked. "Hot coolant will burn you bad, real bad. Always check the temperature first." He showed her how to feel for heat without touching the cap. His hands moved sure and careful, like everything he did. Zara's phone rang. Keisha's name flashed on the screen. "Take it," Evan said. "I'll keep working." Zara hit the speaker button. "Hey, Keisha." "Girl, where are you? You sound echoey." "I'm at the garage, getting my car checked." "The garage?" Keisha's voice got excited. "Is that the white mechanic you don't date?" Evan's hands paused for just a second on the belt he was checking. Then he kept working like he hadn't heard anything. "Keisha," Zara warned, "I'm just saying, rules are made to be broken, especially dumb rules." "They're not dumb rules," Zara said, but she was looking at Evan's face. He was smiling just a little. I'll let you get back to your not dating. Call me later." The phone went quiet. Zara felt her face burn. "Sorry about that," she said. "Your friend speaks her mind," Evan said. "Nothing wrong with that." He finished checking the belts and closed the hood. He wrote something on his clipboard and handed her the paper. "Everything looks good," he said. "Oil's a little low but not dangerous. I topped it off. No charge for that." He handed her a bill. $25 for the full checkup. "This seems low," Zara said. "It's fair," Evan said. "I don't charge rich prices just because I can." Zara pulled out her credit card. "Could you maybe give me a friend discount?" Evan shook his head. "Friends don't start by bending rules." Something about the way he said it made Zara's chest tight, like he understood something about boundaries that she was still learning. She paid the full amount. "Thank you," she said, "for the lesson and the honesty. Thank you for trusting me with your car." Zara walked out of the garage into the bright morning sunlight. Her phone buzzed with a text from Keisha. "Your rule just blinked." Despite everything, Zara smiled. The coffee shop next to Evan's garage had a small patio with mismatched tables and chairs. At 9:30 in the morning, it was mostly empty except for a few people reading newspapers and drinking coffee. Zara found herself walking toward it instead of getting in her car and driving home. She was ordering a latte when Evan appeared beside her. "Morning coffee?" he asked. "Apparently," she said. "Want to sit? I mean, as neighbors, not a date." "Neighbors," Evan agreed. "I can do neighbors." They took a table in the corner of the patio. The morning was warm, but not hot yet. A few blocks away, Zara could see the water where the old pier stretched into the bay. "How long have you lived here?" she asked. 5 years, Evan said. "Moved here after I got the business started." "From where?" "Sacramento. Not as pretty as this." He sipped his black coffee. "You been here your whole life?" "Born here," Zara said. "My dad started the hotel business here when I was little. He always said this town had good bones." She paused, surprised she'd mentioned her father. She didn't usually talk about him with strangers. "Past tense," Evan said gently. 3 years ago. Heart attack." The words still hurt to say. "Mom runs everything now. The hotels, the standards, the expectations." Evan nodded. He didn't say he was sorry or ask questions. He just let her words sit in the air between them. "What about you?" Zara asked. "Family?" "Just me," Evan said. "But I got Ruth. She's my landlord and neighbor, retired nurse. She mother hens the whole building." "That sounds nice." "It is. Ruth makes sure nobody goes hungry or lonely. She's good people." A light drizzle started, just enough to make the patio umbrellas necessary. Other customers moved inside, but Zara and Evan stayed put. "You'll get wet," Evan said. He pulled off his plain blue baseball cap and held it out to her. "I'm fine," Zara said. "It's just a hat, not a marriage proposal." Zara laughed despite herself. She took the cap and put it on. It smelled like soap and motor oil, and something warm she couldn't name. The drizzle got a little heavier. Drops hit the table and made small dark circles on the wood. "I should go," Zara said. She started to take off the cap. "Keep it," Evan said. "Until next time." "Next time? Return it when you're ready, no rush." They stood up together. The drizzle was easing already, but Zara kept the cap on. "This was nice," she said. "The neighbor thing." "Yeah," Evan said. "It was." She walked to her car feeling lighter than she had in months. In her rearview mirror, she watched Evan clean up their table and stack the chairs. At 10:10 a.m., with the drizzle turning to sunshine, Zara drove home wearing a shiutanite mechanic's baseball cap and thinking about brown eyes that saw too much. By late afternoon, the weather had cleared completely. Zara stood in her hotel office, looking out the window toward the bay. The old pier stretched into the blue water like a wooden finger, pointing toward somewhere she'd never been. Her phone buzzed. A text from Evan. "Pier walk, 5:45. Slow pace, no assumptions." Zara stared at the message for a long time. She should say no. This was moving too fast even for neighbors. She had rules, good reasons for those rules. But something about the words "slow pace, no assumptions" made her feel safe. She texted back, "See you there." The pier was busy with evening walkers and fishermen casting lines into the calm water. Seagulls wheeled overhead, calling to each other in voices that sounded like laughter. Zara found Evan sitting on a bench near the start of the pier. He stood when he saw her coming. "Ground rules," she said before he could speak. "Slow pace, no social media, no assumptions about what this means." "Agreed," Evan said. "Want to add no pressure?" "Yes, no pressure." They started walking. The wooden planks creaked under their feet. Fishermen nodded as they passed. An old man with a thermos of coffee offered them homemade cookies from a tin. "This is nice," Zara said. "I never walk out here." "Too busy." "Too visible. People recognize me. They have opinions about what I should be doing and who I should be doing it with." Evan was quiet for a few steps. "Must be hard living for other people's opinions." "It's not living for them," Zara said, then stopped. "Maybe it is, a little." They paused at the railing to watch a pelican dive for fish. The bird hit the water with a splash and came up empty. "Poor guy," Zara said. "He'll try again," Evan said. "Pelicans don't give up easy." A teenager nearby was eating chips from a bag. A bold seagull swooped down and stole one right from his hand. The kid laughed instead of getting mad. Zara found herself laughing too, a real laugh that came from somewhere deep in her chest. "I said something harsh yesterday," she said suddenly. "At the coffee shop. You answered with grace." "You were protecting yourself," Evan said. "Nothing harsh about that." They reached the end of the pier, where a small lighthouse sat dark and quiet. The sun was getting lower, turning the water gold. "This has been nice," Zara said. "The neighbor thing." "Yeah," Evan said. "It has." They walked back slowly, not talking much. Other couples passed them, holding hands and laughing. Families with children fed seagulls despite the signs asking them not to. At the pier steps, they stopped. "Thank you," Zara said, "for the rules and the respect. Thank you for trusting me with your afternoon." Evan waited while she got in her car. In her mirrors, she watched him walk to his truck. At exactly 6:32 p.m., she pulled into traffic and headed home. The golden light followed her all the way. The next morning, Zara stood in the lobby of Beaumont House, checking in with the front desk staff about the weekend bookings. The hotel was her father's dream, made real. Small, elegant, personal. Every guest was treated like family. "Good morning, beautiful." Zara turned to find Andre Price walking through the front doors with a huge bouquet of white roses. "Andre," she said, "what are you doing here?" "Bringing flowers for your office," he said with his perfect smile, "and hoping to take you to lunch." Andre was everything her family wanted for her. Tall, successful, educated, he ran a consulting firm in the city and drove a BMW that never needed repair. He was also her ex-boyfriend, though he seemed to have forgotten the ex part. "These are lovely," Zara said, taking the flowers, "but I can't do lunch today." "Too busy for an old friend?" The concierge, Maria, looked up from her computer. "Miss Beaumont, did you get your car trouble sorted out with that roadside guy?" Zara felt her face warm. "Yes, it's fine now." Andre's smile got sharper. "Car trouble? You should have called me. I know people." "It wasn't a big deal," Zara said. "Just a loose cable." Andre looked thoughtful. "Well, next time. You shouldn't have to deal with random mechanics." He kissed her cheek and left. Maria watched him go with dreamy eyes. "He's so sweet," Maria said, "always thinking of you." Zara carried the roses to her office and set them on her desk. They were beautiful and expensive and perfectly arranged. Everything Andre did was perfect. So why did she keep thinking about a plain blue baseball cap and kind brown eyes? At noon, she was reviewing the weekend menu when her phone buzzed with a text from Evan. "Ruth's courtyard potluck tomorrow at 6. Neighborhood thing. No pressure." Zara stared at the message. A potluck with neighbors sounded normal and simple and nothing like her usual social events. She texted back, "What should I bring?" "Just yourself. Ruth has everything else covered." Zara set down her phone and looked at Andre's roses. Beautiful, but they had no smell at all. Outside her window, she could see the pier in the distance, stretching into the blue bay like an invitation to somewhere new. Ruth's courtyard was tucked behind an old apartment building on Maple Street. Fairy lights strung between trees made everything glow warm and golden. The smell of food and laughter filled the evening air. Zara parked on the street, suddenly nervous. She'd been to charity galas and business dinners and hotel openings, but she'd never been to a neighborhood potluck. "You came," Evan said, appearing at her elbow as she walked through the courtyard gate. "I said I would." "You did," he smiled. "Come meet everybody." Ruth turned out to be a small woman with silver hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. She wore a flowy purple dress and hugged Zara like they'd known each other for years. "Welcome, honey," Ruth said. "Evans told me about you." "Good things, I hope." "All good. Come get a plate. Tariq made chili, but it might be too spicy. He's still learning." Tariq waved from the food table, his face red from embarrassment. "It's not that hot," he called. "Says the boy who puts jalapenos on ice cream," called an older man with a cane. Everyone laughed, including Tariq. The sound was warm and real in a way that Zara's usual social events never were. Evan introduced her around the circle, just as Zara, no last name, no title. Mrs. Peterson, who taught piano, Mr. Gonzalez, who fixed bicycles, Sarah the librarian who made the best cornbread in 3 counties. They asked her normal questions. Did she like the town? How long had she lived here? What did she do for work? "I help run a small hotel," she said. It was true, even if it wasn't the whole truth. "The work of hospitality is holy work," said Mr. Williams, an elderly man with gentle eyes. "Taking care of strangers. My late wife believed that." "She sounds wise," Zara said. "Oh, she was. Taught me everything I know about second chances." As the evening went on, Zara found herself relaxing. These people didn't care about her family name or her mother's expectations. They just cared that she was kind and listened when they talked. Evan kept things easy, bringing her lemonade and making sure she felt included without making a big show of it. When Mrs. Peterson's arthritis made it hard for her to carry her plate, he quietly took it for her. When Tariq's chili turned out to be volcano hot, Evan brought him milk without being asked. He took care of people, not for show, not for praise, just because it was the right thing to do. "You're quiet," Ruth said, settling beside Zara on a garden bench. "Just listening," Zara said. "It's nice here, peaceful." "Evan brings good people around," Ruth said. "He's got a gift for seeing the heart of folks." "How long have you known him?" 5 years since he moved in upstairs. Came here with nothing but his tools and his pride. Pride's not a bad thing when it's the right kind." Ruth looked at Zara carefully. "You seem like good people too. Evan doesn't bring just anyone to family dinner." "This is family dinner." "Honey, family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's just people who show up for each other." At 8 o'clock, people started packing up leftovers and saying goodbyes. Zara helped stack chairs and collect plates, falling into the easy rhythm of communal cleanup. "Thank you," she told Ruth. "This was special." "You come back any time," Ruth said. "And bring appetite. These boys eat like they got hollow legs." Evan walked Zara to her car. The fairy lights cast soft shadows across the courtyard. "Your people are lovely," Zara said. "They liked you too. Ruth says you got good table manners and you listen more than you talk." High praise from her. They reached her SUV. Evan put his hands in his pockets and looked at her seriously. "I had a good time. Tonight," Zara said. "Me too." They stood close enough that she could smell his soap and see the flecks of green in his brown eyes. For a moment she thought he might kiss her. Then Ruth's voice called from the courtyard. Container for you too, leftover cornbread. They both laughed, the moment broken but not ruined. Talk tomorrow? Evan asked. Yes, Zara said. Tomorrow. She drove home with a plastic container of cornbread on her passenger seat and Ruth's words echoing in her head. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's just people who show up for each other. For the first time in months, Zara felt like she might have found people worth showing up for. The next morning, Zara met Evan at the pier coffee stand, just as the sun was painting the water pink and gold. Steam rose from their coffee cups in the cool air. Thank you for last night, she said. I haven't felt that relaxed in months. Ruth has that effect on people. They walked slowly along the boardwalk. Early joggers passed them, breathing hard in the crisp air. A few fishing boats dotted the bay, their lights still twinkling in the dawn. I like this, Zara said. The quiet morning thing. Me too. They stopped at the railing to watch the sunrise paint the sky in shades of rose and orange. Without thinking about it, without planning it, Zara turned toward Evan. He was already looking at her. The kiss was soft and brief and perfect. Nothing dramatic. Just a moment of connection in the morning light. When they pulled apart, Zara felt something shift in her chest, something that felt like hope. I should get to work, she said. Me too. They parted at the coffee stand, Evan heading to his truck and Zara to her SUV. At exactly 7:45 a.m., she drove toward Beaumont House, feeling like the world had changed color overnight. She was reviewing the lunch reservations at her desk when her assistant knocked on the door. Your mother called, Jennifer said. Family dinner Friday night, 7 o'clock. Just us? She mentioned that Andre might drop by. Zara's good mood flickered. Did she now? Her phone buzzed with a text from Evan. Free Friday evening? Thought I could show you how to change a tire. Zara stared at the message. Family dinner with her mother and Andre, or tire lessons with Evan. 6 months ago, the choice would have been easy. She texted back. Family dinner Friday? Rain check for Saturday morning? Sounds good. Hope it goes well. At noon, Andre appeared in her doorway with his perfect smile and expensive suit. Ready for lunch? He asked. I didn't say yes to lunch. You didn't say no either. He came into her office and closed the door behind him. We need to talk, Z. Nobody else called her Z. She'd always hated it. About what? About this phase you're going through, the mechanic thing. Zara's blood went cold. I don't know what you mean. Come on. Small town, smaller gossip. You've been seen with some guy who fixes cars. Your concierge mentioned him yesterday. Andre sat on the edge of her desk, too close and too familiar. Look, I get it, he said. Rebellion, slumming it, whatever. But it's time to come back to reality. Your mother agrees. You talked to my mother? She called me. She's worried about you, about the family reputation, about what your father would think. The mention of her father hit like a punch to the stomach. My father would want me to be happy, Zara said quietly. Your father would want you to be smart. And smart women don't throw away everything they've built for some blue-collar fantasy. Andre leaned closer. Come to dinner Friday. Let me remind you what real partnership looks like. After he left, Zara sat alone in her office for a long time. Through her window, she could see the pier where she'd kissed Evan that morning. It felt like a lifetime ago. Her phone showed 3 missed calls from her mother. Zara closed her eyes and tried to remember her father's voice. What would he really want for her? Safety and status, or joy and authenticity? She looked at Evan's last text. Hope it goes well. For the first time, she wondered if it would. Friday night at the Beaumont family home felt like walking into a museum. Everything was perfect. The crystal, the china, the flowers arranged just so. Zara's mother, Maya, had set the dining room table for 3. You look tired, sweetheart, Maya said when Zara arrived. She kissed her daughter's cheek and studied her face. Are you sleeping enough? I'm fine, Mom. Maya smoothed an invisible wrinkle from the white tablecloth. Andre will be here soon. He's so excited to see you. Zara's stomach twisted. She'd spent the day thinking about Evan's hands on her car engine, the way he'd looked at her on the pier that morning. Now she was supposed to pretend none of that mattered. The doorbell rang at exactly 7 o'clock. Andre walked in like he owned the place, carrying wine and wearing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He kissed Maya's hand like an old-fashioned gentleman. Mrs. B, he said, You look beautiful as always. Oh, stop, Maya laughed, but she was pleased. Zara, look how handsome Andre looks. Andre did look handsome. His suit probably cost more than most people made in a month. His shoes were polished to a mirror shine. His haircut was perfect. But when he smiled at her, Zara felt nothing. Z, he said, leaning in to kiss her cheek. Missed you. Dinner was painful. Andre talked about his business deals and his golf game. Maya asked about his mother and his sister's wedding plans. They discussed the country club's new chef and the charity auction next month. Nobody asked Zara what she thought about anything. The Hendersons are selling their house in Nob Hill, Maya said over dessert. The one with the view. Beautiful property, Andre said. I looked at it last year, perfect for entertaining. You should look at it again, Maya said, meaningfully. For the future, Zara pushed her cake around her plate. The future, like her life was already decided. How's the hotel business? Andre asked. Any new developments? Just the usual, Zara said. Guest services, maintenance, staff schedules. Maintenance, Andre repeated. Speaking of which, I heard you had some car trouble this week. Maya looked up sharply. Car trouble? Why didn't you tell me? It was nothing, Zara said. Just a loose battery cable. Who fixed it? Maya asked. Zara's mouth went dry. A local mechanic. Which one? Andre's voice was casual, but his eyes were sharp. I like to know which shops do good work. Cole Mobile Mechanic, Zara said quietly. Maya frowned. I've never heard of that company. Small operation, Andre said. One man, I think. Works out of an old garage on Pine Street. The way he said it made it sound dirty somehow. Well, Maya said, next time call Andre, or take it to the dealership where they know the car. The mechanic did fine work, Zara said. I'm sure, Andre said smoothly, but you shouldn't have to deal with strangers when you have people who care about you. After dinner, Andre walked Zara out to her car. The night air was cool and smelled like jasmine from her mother's garden. That was nice, he said, like old times. Andre. I know we ended things badly, he said, stepping closer. But people grow up, change. I've changed. Have you? I want us to try again, Z. Really try this time. I think your mom would be happy. What about what I would be? Andre smiled and touched her cheek. You'd be happy too, once you stop fighting what makes sense. Zara drove home with her head spinning. The family dinner felt like a cage closing around her. Andre's confidence that he could win her back, her mother's obvious approval, and underneath it all, the memory of Evan's kiss in the morning sunlight. Her phone buzzed with a text from him. Hope dinner went well. See you tomorrow for tire lessons? Zara stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Yes, looking forward to it. At least that was honest. Saturday morning came bright and clear. Zara met Evan at his garage at 9 o'clock, wearing jeans and sneakers instead of her usual work clothes. Ready to get your hands dirty? He asked. As ready as I'll ever be. Evan had pulled a car with a flat tire into the bay. He'd gathered all the tools they would need on a rolling cart. First rule of changing a tire, he said. Safety first. Always park on level ground if you can. Turn on your hazard lights. Set the parking brake. He showed her how to loosen the lug nuts before jacking up the car. Why before? Zara asked. Tire on the ground gives you resistance. Try to loosen them when the wheel's spinning in the air, and you'll be here all day. His hands covered hers as he guided her through the motions. His touch was warm and sure. Like this, he said softly. Don't rush it. Zara felt her cheeks warm, not from embarrassment, but from something deeper, something that felt like coming home. Now the jack, Evan said. He showed her where to place it, how to pump the handle to lift the car safely. The work felt good, real. Her hands got dirty and she didn't care. You're a natural, Evan said when they'd successfully changed the tire and lowered the car back down. Good teacher, Zara said. They were standing close now, covered in grease and smiling at each other. Evan's hair was messy, and there was a smudge of oil on his cheek. Zara reached up to wipe it away with her thumb. That's when she heard the car door slam in the parking lot. They turned to see a black sedan pulling away. Through the tinted windows, Zara caught a glimpse of Andre's profile. He'd been watching them. Friend of yours? Evan asked. Ex-boyfriend, Zara said. It's complicated. Evan nodded slowly. Most things are. They finished cleaning up the tools in silence. The easy mood from earlier had shifted into something heavier. Lunch? Evan asked as they washed their hands at the garage sink. I'd like that. But even as she said it, Zara felt the weight of Andre's watchful eyes, the pressure of family expectations, the growing distance between the world she'd been born into and the world she was starting to want. They walked to the taco truck parked on the corner. The owner, Carlos, greeted Evan like an old friend. The usual? Carlos asked. Make it 2, Evan said, and extra hot sauce for the lady. Brave woman, Carlos grinned. They found a picnic table in the small park across the street. The tacos were simple and perfect. Fresh tortillas, seasoned meat, bright salsa that made Zara's eyes water. Too hot? Evan asked. Perfect, Zara said, reaching for her water bottle. A young mother pushed her toddler on the swings nearby. An old man fed pigeons from a paper bag. 2 teenagers played basketball on the cracked court, trash-talking each other good-naturedly. This is nice, Zara said. Normal. What's abnormal about your usual Saturday? Zara thought about country club brunches and charity planning meetings, shopping trips where other people carried her bags, restaurants where the waiters knew her name and her order and her credit limit. Everything, she said finally. Evan was quiet for a moment, watching the kids play basketball. Money's not bad, he said, but it can make things complicated. You ever been complicated? Once, when I was younger and dumber, made some choices that cost me everything I had. He didn't say more, and Zara didn't push. Everyone had stories they weren't ready to tell. What changed? She asked instead. Got tired of being someone I wasn't proud of. Started over, slower this time, smarter. The toddler on the swings squealed with delight as her mother pushed her higher. The sound was pure joy, untouched by worry or expectation. I envy her, Zara said, watching the little girl. The kid? She doesn't know yet that life gets complicated, that people have opinions about who you should love and how you should live. Evan looked at her seriously. People always have opinions. Question is whether you let them run your life. Easy to say, harder when those people are your family. Family wants what's best for you, but they don't always know what that is. A text from her mother interrupted the moment. Lunch tomorrow after church? Andre mentioned he had a lovely time last night. Zara showed Evan the message. He read it and handed the phone back without comment. I should go, she said. Family duty calls? Something like that. Evan walked her to her car. The easy connection from earlier felt strained now, pulled tight by outside pressure. Thank you, Zara said, for the lesson and the lunch and the honesty. Thank you for trusting me with your afternoon. She drove away feeling torn in two. Half of her wanted to stay in the simple world of taco trucks and tire changes. The other half knew she had responsibilities, expectations, a life that had been built long before she met a quiet mechanic with kind eyes. Sunday after church, Zara met her mother at the country club for brunch. The dining room was full of familiar faces, family friends, business associates, people who'd known her since she was a child. You look better today, Maya said over mimosas. More like yourself. I feel fine, Mom. Good. Andre said you seemed distant Friday night, distracted. Zara sipped her mimosa and watched a foursome of golfers through the window. Everything at the club was perfectly maintained. The golf course, the gardens, the members' carefully arranged lives. He's trying very hard, you know, Maya continued. Andre, he's changed since you dated before. Has he? More mature, focused. He's building something real with his business. That's nice for him. Maya set down her glass and looked at Zara directly. Sweetheart, what's going on? You've been different lately, distant. I'm just thinking about things. What things? Zara's phone buzzed with a text from Evan. Ruth's making Sunday dinner, 4 o'clock if you're free, no pressure. Maya saw her smile at the message. Who's that? A friend. What friend? I know all your friends. Zara felt trapped. The dining room suddenly felt too small, too stuffy, too full of watching eyes and whispered expectations. I should go, she said. Go where? We haven't finished eating. I have plans. What plans? With whom? Maya's voice carried across the quiet dining room. Other diners glanced their way. Mrs. Henderson raised her eyebrows. Mr. Patterson whispered something to his wife. "I'm 28, Mom," Zara said quietly. "I'm allowed to have plans you don't know about." She left money for the check and walked out, feeling her mother's shocked stare burning into her back. Outside in the parking lot, she called Evan. "Change of plans," she said when he answered. "What time did you say dinner was?" Ruth's Sunday dinner was nothing like brunch at the country club. No white tablecloths or crystal glasses, just mismatched chairs around a big wooden table covered with food made with love. "Welcome, honey," Ruth said, hugging Zara at the door. "You're just in time to help mash potatoes." The kitchen was warm and busy. Evan was carving a roast chicken. Tariq was setting the table with paper napkins and real silverware. An older woman named Mrs. Chen was stirring gravy on the stove. "What can I do?" Zara asked. "Grab that masher," Ruth said, pointing to a drawer, "and show these potatoes who's boss." For the next hour, Zara mashed potatoes and listened to stories. Mrs. Chen talked about her grandson's science fair project. Tariq complained good-naturedly about his community college math class. Ruth shared gossip about the couple upstairs who played their music too loud. Nobody asked about her family or her business or her plans for the future. They just included her in their comfortable circle like she'd always belonged there. "Pass the rolls, honey," Mrs. Chen said. "Save room for pie," Ruth warned. "Made apple and cherry both." "Ruth spoils us," Evan said, refilling Zara's water glass. "Somebody has to," Ruth said. "You boys would live on takeout and cereal." After dinner, they moved to Ruth's small living room. Mrs. Chen taught Zara to play dominoes. Tariq fell asleep in the recliner with Ruth's cat on his chest. Evan helped with the dishes, his sleeves rolled up and his hands sudsy. "This is lovely," Zara told Ruth during a break in the game. "Simple pleasures," Ruth said. "Best kind there is." At 8 o'clock, people started saying goodbye. Mrs. Chen kissed Zara's cheek and told her to come back soon. Tariq woke up long enough to wave sleepily before heading upstairs to his apartment. Evan walked Zara to her car. The evening was warm and quiet, full of cricket songs and the distant sound of children playing. "Thank you," she said. "I needed this today." Family trouble. Mother trouble. She wants to plan my life for me. Most mothers do. It's how they show love. How do you know when to listen and when to follow your own path? Evan leaned against her car and looked up at the stars just starting to appear in the darkening sky. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but I figure life's too short to spend it being somebody else's version of who you should be." Zara's phone buzzed with another text from her mother. "We need to talk. Come by the house tonight." She showed Evan the message. "Go," he said. "Handle your family stuff, but remember, you get to choose who you are." The drive to her mother's house felt like driving toward a storm. Maya was waiting in the living room with a glass of wine and a tight expression. "Sit," she said. Zara sat. "I called Andre after you left today. He told me about your new friend, the mechanic." Zara's heart sank. "Mom? A mechanic, Zara? Really? He's a good man." "I'm sure he is, but he's not right for you. You've never even met him." "I don't need to meet him to know he doesn't fit in our world. Our family has worked for generations to build something lasting. The hotel business, our reputation, our place in this community." Maya set down her wine glass and leaned forward. "Your father and I dreamed of you taking over the business someday, marrying well, raising children who would carry on what we've built. What if that's not what I want? What you want and what's good for you aren't always the same thing." Zara felt tears sting her eyes. "Dad would want me to be happy. Your father would want you to be smart, and smart women don't throw away security for romance." The conversation went in circles after that, Maya's fears about reputation and stability, Zara's growing certainty that happiness mattered more than appearances. Finally, at nearly 11 o'clock, Zara stood to leave. "I love you, Mom," she said, "but I'm not going to stop seeing Evan because you're afraid of what people might think. Then you're making a mistake that will cost you everything." Zara drove home feeling exhausted and sad. The day had started with hope and ended with conflict. The joy of Ruth's dinner table felt far away now, overshadowed by her mother's disappointment. But as she got ready for bed, she thought about Evan's words. Life's too short to spend it being somebody else's version of who you should be. Maybe it was time to figure out her own version instead. Monday morning brought a surprise. Zara was reviewing the weekly staff schedule when her assistant knocked on her door. "Someone here to see you," Jennifer said. "A Mr. Cole." Zara's heart jumped. "Send him in." But it wasn't Evan who walked through her door. It was a woman in her 50s with graying hair and a professional smile. "Ms. Beaumont, I'm Patricia Cole from Cole Hospitality Consulting. I believe there's been some confusion." After sorting out the mistaken appointment, Zara sat alone in her office feeling foolish. She'd been hoping to see Evan, but he was probably at his garage working on someone's car, living his life without drama. Her phone rang. Andre's name on the display. "We need to talk," he said without preamble. "Meet me at Marino's at 1 o'clock. "Andre, 1 o'clock Z, be there." He hung up before she could refuse. Marino's was the kind of restaurant where Andre felt at home. Expensive, exclusive, full of people who recognized him. The hostess seated them at a corner table with white linens and fresh orchids. "You look tired," Andre said when they'd ordered. "I'm fine. Your mother's worried about you, so am I." Andre reached across the table and covered her hand with his. His skin was soft, manicured, nothing like Evan's work-rough fingers. "This thing you're doing," he said, "this rebellion or whatever it is, it needs to stop." "I'm not rebelling. I'm living my life. By dating a mechanic?" "Come on, Z, you're smarter than that." The words hit like a slap. "What's wrong with being a mechanic?" "Nothing's wrong with it, for some people, but not for you. You have responsibilities, a business to run, a family legacy to protect." Andre's voice got quieter, more intense. "I know why you're doing this. Your dad's death shook you up, made you question everything. I get it. But this isn't the answer." "You don't know what the answer is." "Yes, I do." Andre squeezed her hand. "The answer is us. Getting back together. Building something real together. Your mother approves. My family approves. It makes sense." Zara pulled her hand away. "Since when is love about approval?" "Love?" Andre's smile was cold. "You think you love this guy? You've known him a week. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and you think that's love?" Zara's chest felt tight. Was Andre right? Was this just rebellion disguised as romance? "Look," Andre said, his voice gentle now. "Take some time. Think about what you really want. But remember, some choices can't be undone. Some bridges can't be rebuilt once they're burned." He left money for lunch and kissed her cheek before walking away. Zara sat alone at the elegant table, surrounded by the whisper of expensive conversation and the clink of crystal glasses. Outside the window, she could see the bay in the distance. Somewhere out there was the pier where she'd kissed Evan in the morning light. It felt like a lifetime ago. Her phone buzzed with a text from him. "Hope your day's going well. Ruth's making enchiladas tonight if you want to stop by." Zara stared at the message for a long time. Simple words, no pressure, just an invitation to be part of something warm and real. She typed back, "I'll be there." Whatever was happening between them, whatever it meant, she wasn't ready to give up on it yet, even if everyone else thought she should. Tuesday evening found Zara and Evan sitting on Ruth's front steps, sharing a container of leftover enchiladas and watching the sunset paint the courtyard walls gold and pink. "Ruth outdid herself last night," Evan said, taking another bite. "She's amazing. I can't believe how welcome she makes everyone feel." "That's her gift. She sees people for who they are, not who they're supposed to be." Zara leaned against Evan's shoulder, feeling the warm, solid weight of him beside her. For the first time in days, the knot in her chest loosened. "I've been thinking," she said. "About? About this. About us. About what I want instead of what everyone else wants from me." Evan set down his fork and looked at her. "What do you want?" "Honestly? More of this. More simple dinners and honest conversations. More people who care about each other without keeping score." "That's not asking for much. It feels like everything." A delivery truck pulled up to the curb. The driver hopped out with a package, recognizing Zara from somewhere, but just nodding politely as he passed. No big deal. No whispered comments about who she was or who she was with. "I like being nobody special here," Zara said. "You're not nobody special. You're just yourself." They planned to meet at the pier Friday morning for a sunrise walk. No agenda, no pressure, just time together before the world woke up and started having opinions. As Evan walked her to her car, they moved slowly, reluctant to end the peaceful evening. "Sleep well," he said, kissing her forehead gently. Zara drove home feeling hopeful. Maybe this could work. Maybe love was supposed to feel this easy and natural and right. She was almost to her apartment when she noticed the black sedan following her. Andre. She pulled into her parking garage and waited. Sure enough, Andre's car drove past slowly before disappearing into the night. The next morning, Zara was unlocking her car when Andre appeared beside her. "Morning, Z. You followed me last night. I was worried about you, driving around strange neighborhoods late at night." Ruth's neighborhood isn't strange, and it wasn't late. Andre leaned against her car, blocking her driver's door. "We need to talk, really talk. I'm late for work." "5 minutes," Zara sighed. "5 minutes. Your mother called me last night. She's really worried about the business, about your judgment, about where this thing is heading." "This thing?" "Come on, Z, you and the mechanic. It's getting serious, and that's a problem." Andre pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. It was Zara and Evan sitting on Ruth's steps the night before, sharing dinner and laughing. "Where did you get this?" Zara's voice was sharp. "Small town. People talk. People notice." "People like you mean? People who care about you. Look, I get it. He seems like a nice guy, but nice isn't enough. You have responsibilities." Andre stepped closer, his voice dropping to that smooth, persuasive tone she remembered from when they dated. "Your father built something amazing. The hotel business, the family reputation, the community standing. Are you really going to throw that away for someone who lives in a rented apartment and drives a 10-year-old truck? Money isn't everything. No, but security is, stability is, building something that lasts is." Andre touched her arm gently. "I know this guy makes you feel something, but feelings fade. What we could build together would last forever." After Andre left, Zara sat in her car for a long time. His words echoed in her head. Was she being naive? Was she confusing rebellion with romance? But then she thought about Evan's hands teaching her to change a tire, Ruth's warm kitchen full of laughter, the way Evan looked at her like she mattered, not like she was a prize to be won. Her phone buzzed. A text from Evan. "Ruth made extra coffee. Stop by if you want some before work." Zara drove to Ruth's building with Andre's questions still, spinning in her mind. Ruth answered the door in a flowered robe and fuzzy slippers, her silver hair in rollers. "Morning, honey. Evan's in the shower, but there's coffee on the stove. Help yourself." The kitchen smelled like coffee and cinnamon rolls. Zara poured herself a mug and sat at the small table by the window. When Evan emerged from the bathroom, his hair damp and his shirt buttoned wrong, he looked surprised and pleased to see her. "Early visit," he said, fixing his buttons. "Andre cornered me this morning, showed me photos of us together." Evan went very still. "Photos?" "Nothing inappropriate, just us talking on your steps last night. He's watching you. He says he's protecting me." Evan sat across from her at the table. His face was serious now, all traces of morning sleepiness gone. "What do you think?" "I think he's trying to control me. My mother, too. They want me to choose the safe path, the expected path." "What do you want to choose?" Zara looked into his brown eyes and felt something settle in her chest, something that felt like coming home. "You," she said simply. "I want to choose you." Evan reached across the table and took her hand. "I'm in," he said. "Slow and honest, like we said. But I'm in." They sat there for a moment, holding hands across Ruth's kitchen table while the morning sun streamed through the windows. It felt like a promise. Thursday afternoon, Zara was reviewing the monthly budget reports when her mother appeared in her office doorway. "We need to talk," Maya said, closing the door behind her. "Mom, I'm working." "This won't take long." Maya sat down across from Zara's desk and folded her hands carefully in her lap. She was wearing her navy business suit and her serious expression. "I had lunch with Andre yesterday. He told me about your conversation in the parking garage." Zara's stomach sank. "What conversation?" "He's trying to help you, sweetheart. We both are." "I don't need help." "Yes, you do. You're making choices based on emotion instead of wisdom. That's dangerous." Maya leaned forward, her voice gentle but firm. "I know you think you're in love. I know this man seems different and exciting, but love isn't enough to build a life on. Dad would disagree. Your father was practical above all else. He married me because we were a good match. Same background, same values, same goals. That's why our marriage worked. I thought it worked because you loved each other. Love came later, after we'd built something solid together. Maya reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. I've arranged a meeting, she said, with someone who can help you see clearly. What kind of meeting? Tomorrow afternoon, 5 o'clock. The address is on the card. Zara looked at the card. It was for a cafe in the next town over, address written in her mother's neat handwriting. Mom, what is this? Just go. Listen to what he has to say, then make your decision. What who has to say? But Maya was already standing up, smoothing her skirt and checking her watch. 5 o'clock, Zara. Don't be late. Friday morning couldn't come fast enough. Zara met Evan at the pier at 5:40, just as the sky was turning from black to deep purple. You're early, he said, appearing beside her on the wooden planks. Couldn't sleep. They walked toward the lighthouse at the end of the pier. A few early fishermen nodded as they passed. The water was calm and dark, reflecting the first hints of sunrise. Want to talk about it? Evan asked. My mother set up some kind of meeting for me this afternoon. She won't tell me what it's about. Sounds mysterious. Sounds like more pressure to give you up. They stopped at the railing and watched a pelican dive for fish. The bird came up empty, but immediately started scanning for another chance. Persistent, Evan said. Like us? I hope so. Zara turned to face him. In the growing light, she could see the concern in his eyes. Whatever happens, she said, whatever anyone says or does, I need you to know something. What? I'm falling for you, really falling. Not rebelling, not experimenting, just falling. Evan cupped her face in his hands and kissed her softly. When they pulled apart, the sun was painting the water pink and gold. I'm already fallen, he said. They stood together in the sunrise, watching the world wake up around them. Fishing boats headed out to sea. Early joggers appeared on the shore. The day began with possibility. At 7 o'clock, they walked back to their cars, reluctant to part, but knowing work awaited them both. Call me after your mysterious meeting, Evan said. I will. But as Zara drove to work, she felt a shadow of worry. Her mother's confidence about the meeting, Andre's photos and pressure, the feeling that forces were gathering against something beautiful and fragile. She pushed the worry away. Whatever the meeting was, she could handle it. She was 28 years old, successful, strong. Nobody could make her choose something she didn't want. Could they? At 5 o'clock, Zara drove to the address on the card. It was a small cafe in Millfield, the next town over. Quiet, private, the kind of place where nobody would recognize her. She walked in expecting to find her mother or Andre or maybe a family friend ready to lecture her about responsibility. Instead, she found Evan. He was sitting at a corner table with a woman in an expensive suit. They were deep in conversation, papers spread between them on the table. Zara's heart stopped. She stood frozen in the doorway, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. Evan looked up and saw her. The color drained from his face. Zara, he said, standing quickly. The woman turned around. She had sharp features and calculating eyes. A lawyer, Zara realized. This was business. Ms. Beaumont, the woman said smoothly. Perfect timing. Please sit down. What is this? Zara's voice came out smaller than she intended. A conversation, the woman said, about your future and Mr. Cole's. Evan was looking at Zara with something like panic in his eyes. I can explain. Explain what? The woman, her business card said, Margaret Stevens, attorney at law, gestured to the papers on the table. Mr. Cole and I have been discussing a business opportunity. Your mother was kind enough to arrange the introduction. Zara felt the world tilt sideways. My mother? She's concerned about your well-being, and she's prepared to help Mr. Cole establish a new automotive business in Sacramento. The words hit like physical blows. Sacramento was 300 miles away. A new business? Zara looked at Evan. You're leaving? No, Evan said quickly. I mean, I was asked to consider it, but the terms are quite generous, Margaret continued. Full financing for a state-of-the-art facility, guaranteed contracts for the first 2 years, Mr. Cole would be set for life. Zara sank into a chair. The cafe suddenly felt too small, too warm. Her mother had bought off the man she was falling in love with. "And in return?" she asked. "In return, Mr. Cole relocates to Sacramento and focuses on building his new business, a fresh start, away from complications. Away from me." Margaret's smile was thin and professional. "Your mother simply wants what's best for everyone involved." Zara looked at Evan. He was staring at the papers on the table, his jaw tight with anger. "What did you tell her?" Zara asked. "I told her no." "But you came to this meeting." "She asked me to hear the offer. I thought I owed her that much courtesy." Margaret gathered the papers into a neat stack. "The offer stands until Monday, Mr. Cole. I'd encourage you to think carefully about your future." She stood up, smoothed her skirt, and walked out of the cafe, leaving Zara and Evan alone at the table. They sat in silence for a long moment. Around them, other customers chatted quietly over coffee and pastries, normal people having normal conversations about normal things. "I should have told you," Evan said finally. "When did she contact you?" "Tuesday. She said she wanted to meet me, to understand who you were spending time with. And she offered to set me up somewhere else, said it would be simpler for you." Zara felt tears burning behind her eyes. "Simpler. I told her you get to choose your own life, that I wasn't going anywhere unless you asked me to. But you considered it. For about 5 seconds, before I realized how insulting it was." Evan reached across the table and took her hand. "I don't want their money, Zara. I don't want to be bought off or relocated or managed. I want to be here, with you." Zara squeezed his hand. "I want that too. So what do? We go home. We figure this out together." They left the cafe holding hands, united against the forces trying to separate them. But as they walked to their cars, Zara felt the weight of her family's disapproval settling on her shoulders like a heavy coat. This was just the beginning. She could feel it. Saturday morning brought rain and worry. Zara woke in her apartment feeling like a storm was gathering around her and Evan. Her phone showed 3 missed calls from her mother and 2 texts from Andre. The texts were simple. "We need to talk, today." Zara ignored them all and drove to Evan's garage. She found him working on a blue pickup truck, his head under the hood and his shoulders tense. "Busy morning?" she asked. He looked up, grease on his cheek and relief in his eyes. "Getting there. Coffee?" They walked to the small office at the back of the garage. Evan poured coffee from a pot that had seen better days and handed her the less chipped of 2 mugs. "Sleep okay?" he asked. "Terrible. You?" "Same." They stood in the quiet office, drinking bad coffee and trying to pretend yesterday's ambush hadn't happened. "My phone's been ringing all morning," Zara said. "Your mom?" "And Andre, they want to talk." "Together or separate?" "Does it matter? They both want the same thing." Evan set down his coffee and looked at her seriously. "What if they're right?" "What?" "What if this is too hard? What if we're kidding ourselves thinking we can make this work?" Zara felt her heart clench. "Is that what you think?" "I think I'm a guy who fixes cars for a living and you're a woman who owns hotels. I think your family has money and influence and the power to make both our lives miserable if they want to." "So you want to give up?" "I want to be realistic." They stood facing each other across the small office. The sound of rain on the garage roof filled the silence between them. "Reality is this," Zara said finally. "I care about you, more than I've cared about anyone in years. Reality is that when I'm with you, I feel like myself instead of like someone playing a part. Reality is also that your mother tried to buy me off yesterday. And you said no. This time. But there will be other times, other pressure. Can you handle that? Can you handle choosing me over them again and again?" Zara thought about her father's dreams for her, her mother's fears, the business that had been built over generations, the expectations that had shaped her whole life. Then she thought about Ruth's kitchen table and tire-changing lessons, and the way Evan looked at her like she was enough, just as she was. "Yes," she said. "I can handle it." Evan crossed the office and pulled her into his arms. They held each other tight while the rain drummed overhead, and the world outside tried to tear them apart. "We'll figure it out," Zara whispered into his chest. "We'll figure it out," he agreed. But even as they held each other, both of them knew the hard part was just beginning. Sunday dinner at Zara's family home felt like walking into a trap. Maya had insisted, and Zara had agreed, hoping to clear the air about what had happened at the cafe. Instead, she walked into the dining room to find Andre already seated at the table, looking smug and entirely too comfortable. "Surprise," he said, standing to kiss her cheek. "Your mom thought it would be nice to have the three of us together." Maya emerged from the kitchen carrying a roast that smelled like Sunday afternoons from Zara's childhood, comfort food deployed as a weapon. "Sit, sweetheart," Maya said. "Everything's almost ready." Dinner was a careful dance of polite conversation and loaded silences. Andre talked about his business expansion plans. Maya shared news about family friends and community events. Nobody mentioned Sacramento or mechanics or offers of relocation, but the tension sat at the table like an uninvited guest. Finally, over dessert, Andre set down his fork and looked at Zara directly. "I heard about your friend's financial troubles," he said casually. Zara's blood went cold. "What financial troubles?" "The bankruptcy. Few years back, right? Co-signed a loan for a friend, lost everything when the friend defaulted." Andre's voice was conversational, like he was discussing the weather. "Took him years to rebuild his credit, still probably affects what kind of loans he can get for business expansion." Maya looked shocked. "Bankruptcy?" "It was a long time ago," Zara said quietly. "People make mistakes when they're young." "Of course," Andre said. "We all do. But it shows judgment, don't you think? The kind of decisions someone makes under pressure." "It shows loyalty," Zara said, her voice getting stronger. "He helped a friend in need. And lost everything because of it. Is that the kind of judgment you want in a partner? Someone who'll risk your security for someone else's problems?" The attack was expertly delivered, designed to look like concern while planting seeds of doubt. Andre had done his homework. "Everyone deserves a second chance," Zara said. "Everyone deserves honesty," Andre replied. "Did he tell you about the bankruptcy before or after you found out other ways?" The question hung in the air like poison. Zara realized with horror that Evan hadn't told her. She'd learned about it from Andre, here, now, in front of her mother. "I thought so," Andre said gently, seeing her face. "Look, Z, I'm not trying to hurt you, but you deserve to know who you're dealing with." Maya reached across the table and took Zara's hand. "Sweetheart, we're just trying to protect you." "From what?" "From making decisions based on incomplete information, from trusting someone who hasn't been completely honest with you." After dinner, Andre walked Zara to her car while Maya cleaned up inside. The evening was warm and humid, heavy with the promise of rain. "I'm sorry you had to find out that way," Andre said, "but I thought you should know." "How did you find out?" "Public records. It wasn't hard to find once I knew where to look." Zara felt sick. The bankruptcy itself didn't bother her. Everyone made mistakes, and Evan's desire to help a friend spoke well of his character. But the fact that he hadn't told her about it did. How could she trust someone who kept important things hidden? "He's a good guy," Andre said, reading her thoughts. "I believe that. But good guys can still make bad choices, and they can still hurt people they care about." Andre touched her arm gently. "You deserve someone who's completely honest with you, someone you can trust with everything. Someone like you, someone like me." Zara drove home through streets blurred by rain and tears. Her phone buzzed with a text from Evan. "Hope dinner went well. See you tomorrow?" She stared at the message for a long time before typing back, "We need to talk." The three dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, his response came. "What's wrong?" "Not over text. Can you come to my apartment? 9 o'clock? On my way." Zara spent the next hour pacing her living room and trying to figure out what to say. How do you confront someone about a secret they've kept? How do you tell them you learned about their most embarrassing failure from someone who wants to destroy your relationship? At exactly 9 o'clock, Evan knocked on her door. "Hey," he said when she let him in. "You sounded upset." "Sit down." He sat on her couch looking worried. Zara remained standing, arms crossed, trying to maintain emotional distance. "Andre told me about your bankruptcy tonight, at dinner, in front of my mother." Evan went very still, the color drained from his face. "Zara, were you ever going to tell me?" "Yes, I was waiting for the right time." "When? We've been seeing each other for weeks. When was the right time going to be?" Evan rubbed his face with both hands. I don't know, it's not something I'm proud of. I don't care about the bankruptcy itself. I care that you didn't trust me enough to tell me. It wasn't about trust. Then what was it about? It was about being ashamed, about not wanting you to see me as someone who makes stupid decisions. Evan stood up and started pacing her living room. I was 22, Zara. My best friend needed help with a business loan. I co-signed because I wanted to help him succeed. When his business failed, I lost everything: my savings, my credit, my ability to get loans for my own business. So you rebuilt from nothing. So I rebuilt from less than nothing. It took me 8 years to get where I am now. 8 years of living paycheck to paycheck, driving cars that barely ran, working 3 jobs just to stay afloat. Zara felt her anger softening. That must have been incredibly hard. It was hell, and it was humbling, and it taught me that good intentions don't protect you from bad consequences. Evan stopped pacing and looked at her directly. I should have told you. I know that. I like the way you looked at me. Like I was successful and stable and worth your time. I was afraid that would change if you knew the truth. The truth about what? The truth about who I really am. A guy who made a huge mistake and is still paying for it. A guy who lives in a rented apartment and drives a truck with 200,000 miles on it because he can't qualify for a decent car loan. Tears burned in Zara's eyes. Is that really how you see yourself? Some days. She crossed the room and took his hands in hers. That's not how I see you. How do you see me? I see a man who was loyal enough to risk everything for a friend, a man who was strong enough to rebuild from nothing, a man who works with his hands and takes care of people and treats everyone with respect. Evan's eyes were bright with unshed tears. Even knowing about the bankruptcy, especially knowing about it, it shows who you really are. They held each other in the middle of her living room while the rain tapped against the windows. But even in his arms, Zara felt the weight of the evening pressing down on her. Andre's words echoed in her head. You deserve someone who's completely honest with you. Was Evan completely honest? Or were there other secrets, other things he was afraid to tell her? And if there were, could she handle discovering them the way she discovered this one, from someone who wanted to use them against her? I need some time, she said finally. Evan pulled back to look at her. Time for what? Time to think. About this, about us, about whether I can handle all the pressure that comes with being together. Are you breaking up with me? I don't know. I just need space to figure things out. Evan nodded slowly. How much space? How much time? I don't know that either. He kissed her forehead gently and walked to the door. I'll wait, he said. However long you need, I'll wait. After he left, Zara sat on her couch and cried, not just about the bankruptcy or the secret, but about the whole impossible situation. Her family's pressure, Andre's manipulation, the weight of expectations she'd carried her whole life. Outside, the rain kept falling, washing the streets clean and leaving everything looking fresh and new. She wished it could wash away her confusion just as easily. Monday morning felt like the longest day of Zara's life, and it was only 10 o'clock. She sat in her office staring at budget reports that might as well have been written in a foreign language. The numbers blurred together as her mind replayed Saturday night's conversation with Evan over and over. Her assistant knocked on the door. Your mother's here to see you. Maya walked in looking pleased with herself, carrying coffee and pastries from the expensive bakery downtown. Good morning, sweetheart. I brought breakfast. I'm not hungry. You need to eat. Maya set the bag on Zara's desk and sat down. How are you feeling? Confused, hurt, angry. About the bankruptcy revelation? Zara looked at her mother sharply. You knew about it before Andre told me. I had Andre investigate your friend's background, for your protection. You had him investigated? Of course I did. Wouldn't any mother want to know about the man her daughter is involved with? Maya's voice was calm and reasonable, like she was discussing weekend plans instead of invasive surveillance. What else did you find out? Zara asked. Nothing scandalous. He pays his bills on time now. He's well regarded by his customers. He takes care of his elderly neighbors. By most measures, he's a decent man. But? But he's not right for you. The bankruptcy proves he makes emotional decisions without thinking through the consequences. That's dangerous for someone in your position. Maya leaned forward, her voice gentle but firm. Sweetheart, I know you're upset about how you learned the information, but aren't you glad you know? Isn't it better to understand who you're dealing with before you get in too deep? Zara wanted to argue, but doubt gnawed at her. If Evan could hide something that important, what else might he be keeping from her? Andre's waiting for your call, Maya said softly. He wants to take you to lunch, just to talk. Mom, just lunch. He cares about you, Zara. He always has, and he's never hidden anything from you. After Maya left, Zara sat alone with her coffee growing cold and her heart feeling like it might break. Through her office window, she could see the pier in the distance. Somewhere across town, Evan was probably working on someone's car, his hands steady and sure as always. She missed him already. Her phone buzzed with a text from Keisha. Coffee later? You sound terrible in your voicemails. Zara typed back, yes, please, 2 p.m. at Mina's. At least she had one person in her life who would tell her the truth without an agenda. Keisha was already waiting when Zara arrived at the coffee shop. Her best friend since college, Keisha had never sugarcoated anything in her life. You look like hell, Keisha said, standing to hug her. Thanks, very comforting. What's going on? Your voicemails were cryptic and sad. Zara told her everything, the bankruptcy revelation, the family dinner ambush, her fight with Evan about honesty and trust. Keisha listened without interrupting, occasionally making faces when Andre's name came up. So let me get this straight, Keisha said when Zara finished. Your ex-boyfriend stalked your current boyfriend, dug up dirt on him, and ambushed you with it at family dinner. And now you're mad at your current boyfriend for not telling you about the worst thing that ever happened to him? When you put it like that, girl, when I put it like that, it sounds like you're letting Andre manipulate you into sabotaging your own happiness. Keisha stirred her latte aggressively. Of course Evan didn't tell you about the bankruptcy right away. Would you want to lead? With your most embarrassing failure when you're trying to get to know someone? But we've been together for weeks. Weeks, not years, not months, weeks. And from what you've told me, those weeks have been full of family drama and pressure and people trying to break you up. When exactly was he supposed to find the perfect moment for that conversation? Zara felt tears pricking her eyes. I just thought he trusted me. He does trust you. That's why he told Andre no when your mom tried to buy him off. That's why he keeps showing up even though your family treats him like dirt. Keisha reached across the table and took Zara's hand. Honey, I've watched you date a lot of men. Rich men, successful men, men your mother approved of. And I've never seen you light up the way you do when you talk about this mechanic. His name is Evan. I know his name, and I know you're in love with him, real love, the kind that's worth fighting for. What if my family's right? What if I'm just rebelling? Are you happy with him? Yes. Happier than you've ever been? Yes. Then that's not rebellion. That's love. And if your family can't see the difference, that's their problem, not yours. Keisha finished her coffee and stood up. I have to get back to work, but Zara, stop punishing yourself for falling in love with a good man, and stop punishing him for being human. After Keisha left, Zara sat alone in the coffee shop for a long time. Through the window, she could see Evan's garage 2 blocks away. She wondered if he was working, if he was thinking about her, if he regretted getting involved with someone whose life came with so much drama. Her phone buzzed, a text from Andre. Ready for lunch? I'm at Marino's. Zara stared at the message. She could go to lunch with Andre. Let him comfort her and convince her that safe was better than sorry. Let herself slide back into the life that had been planned for her since birth. Or she could walk 2 blocks to a garage and fight for something real. She typed back, rain check, I have somewhere else to be. Then she paid for her coffee and walked toward Pine Street. The garage was busy when Zara arrived. Evan was working on a silver sedan while Tariq changed the oil in a pickup truck. Both of them looked up when she walked in. Zara, Tariq grinned. Haven't seen you in days. Hi, Tariq. She looked at Evan, who had straightened up from under the hood but hadn't moved toward her. Can we talk? Tariq, Evan said, take your break. But I just Take your break. Tariq wiped his hands on his coveralls and walked out, whistling loudly to announce he was giving them privacy. Evan and Zara stood facing each other across the garage bay. The distance between them felt like miles. I've been thinking, Zara said. Me too. I was wrong. Not about wanting honesty, but about how I handled finding out. I should have trusted you to tell me when you were ready. Evan's shoulders relaxed, slightly. You weren't wrong to be upset. I should have told you sooner. Why didn't you? Because I was scared. Scared you'd see me differently. Scared you'd realize you could do better. Zara stepped closer. There is no better. Not for me. Your family disagrees. My family's scared too. Scared I'll choose my heart over their expectations. Scared I'll be happy in a way they don't understand. She was close enough now to see the hope flickering in his brown eyes. Are you going to? He asked quietly. Choose your heart? I already have. Evan crossed the space between them in 2 strides and pulled her into his arms. They kissed in the middle of the garage, surrounded by the smell of motor oil and the sound of tools clinking. It was completely unromantic and absolutely perfect. I love you, Zara said against his lips. I love you too. When they pulled apart, Tariq was standing in the doorway, trying to pretend he wasn't eavesdropping. You can come back in, Evan called. Thank God, Tariq said. I was running out of interesting things to do in the alley. The next few days passed in a blur of happiness and determination. Zara and Evan made a plan. No more hiding, no more apologizing for what they meant to each other. They would be honest about their relationship and let other people adjust. Wednesday evening found them cooking dinner in Ruth's kitchen while she directed from her chair at the table. More garlic, Ruth instructed as Evan stirred the pasta sauce. Any more garlic and we'll clear out the whole building, he protested. Nonsense, garlic is good for the heart. Zara was cutting vegetables for the salad, listening to their easy banter and feeling more at home than she had in her own apartment. Ruth, she said, can I ask you something? Of course, honey. How do you know when you found the right person? Ruth looked at her seriously. Well, I've been married twice. First husband, God rest his soul, I married because my mama thought he was suitable. Good job, nice family, proper background. Were you happy? Happy enough, but not joyful. You understand the difference? Zara nodded. Second husband I married for love. People said I was crazy. He was younger than me, made less money, came from different people. But he made me laugh every day for 23 years until cancer took him. Ruth reached over and patted Zara's hand. Happy is good, but joyful is better. And joyful is what you get when you choose the person who sees your soul. And if your family doesn't approve, family comes around or they don't, but you got to live your life, not theirs. They ate dinner at Ruth's small table, talking about everything and nothing. Evan told stories about his most difficult customers. Ruth shared gossip about the neighbors. Zara talked about her plans to update the hotel's guest services. Normal conversation, normal evening, normal life that felt extraordinary because it was theirs. At 8:00, a knock came at the door. I'll get it, Ruth said, but Evan was already up. Probably Mrs. Peterson forgot her key again, he said, opening the door. But it wasn't Mrs. Peterson. It was Maya. Zara's mother stood in Ruth's doorway, looking completely out of place in her expensive suit and perfect makeup. Mrs. Beaumont, Evan said, recovering first. Please, come in. Maya stepped into the small apartment and looked around with carefully neutral eyes. Ruth's mismatched furniture, her collection of ceramic cats, her walls covered with photos of people she considered family. Mom, Zara said, standing up from the table. What are you doing here? I came to see how you're living, Maya said, to meet the people you're choosing over your family. Ruth stood up as well, smoothing her flowered dress. I'm Ruth Delgado. Welcome to my home. Maya shook Ruth's hand politely. Maya Beaumont, Zara's mother. I figured as much. You got the same eyes. An awkward silence settled over the room. Maya looked at the dinner dishes, the comfortable intimacy of the scene, the obvious happiness on her daughter's face. I see you're having dinner, Maya said. Pasta night, Ruth said cheerfully. There's plenty if you'd like to join us. Oh, I couldn't impose. No imposition, pull up a chair. Zara watched in amazement as Ruth bustled around, setting another place at the table and heating up a plate of food. Her mother sat down carefully, like she was afraid the chair might collapse. So, Ruth said, settling back into her seat, Zara tells me you run hotels. The family business, yes. Must be a lot of work. It is. My late husband started the company, and now it's my responsibility to keep it running. Heavy load for one person. Maya's careful mask slipped just a little. Sometimes, but it's important work. Hospitality matters. Making people feel welcome, taking care of them when they're away from home. That's beautiful work, Ruth said simply. Taking care of people. As the evening progressed, something shifted. Maya relaxed despite herself, drawn in by Ruth's warmth and genuine interest. She told stories about the early days of the hotel business, about Zara's father and his dreams for their daughter. He wanted her to be independent, Maya said, strong enough to run the business, smart enough to make good choices. Sounds like he got his wish, Ruth said, looking at Zara with affection. I worry I'm failing him, Maya admitted quietly, by not protecting her better. Protecting her from what? From making mistakes, from getting hurt, from choosing the wrong path. Ruth looked at Maya thoughtfully. Honey, you can't protect someone from living their life. Best you can do is love them and trust you raised them right. But what if they choose badly? Then they learn from it. But what if they choose well and you miss it because you're too scared to see it? Maya looked across the table at Zara and Evan, who were quietly cleaning up the dishes together. The way they moved around each other, the small kindnesses, the easy partnership. He makes her happy, Maya said, almost to herself. He makes her joyful, Ruth corrected gently. That's better than happy. At 9 o'clock, Maya stood to leave. She thanked Ruth for dinner and hugged her at the door. You have a beautiful home, she said. You're welcome any time. Evan walked Maya to her car while Zara and Ruth finished cleaning up. What do you think they're talking about? Zara asked, watching through the window. Truth, probably. Sometimes it's easier to hear from a stranger than from family. Outside, Maya and Evan stood beside her Mercedes talking quietly. From the window, Zara could see her mother's posture softening, her defensive walls coming down. When Evan came back inside, he looked surprised. What did she say? Zara asked. She apologized. For the investigation, for the relocation offer, for trying to manage your life. Really? She said she was scared of losing you, that she'd rather have you happy with me than miserable without me. Zara felt tears spring to her eyes. She said that? She also said I better treat you right or she'll make my life very difficult. That sounds more like her. Ruth smiled from her chair by the window. Your mama loves you, honey. She just forgot for a while that love means letting go. Friday afternoon, Zara was reviewing the weekend's reservations when Andre appeared in her office doorway. He looked tired and resigned, like a man who'd finally accepted defeat. Can we talk? He asked. Sure. Zara gestured to the chair across from her desk. What's up? Andre sat down and ran his hands through his perfect hair. I owe you an apology. Okay? I've been an ass, manipulative and controlling and dishonest about my motives. Zara studied his face. The smug confidence was gone, replaced by something that looked like genuine regret. What changed? She asked. Your mother called me last night, told me about her evening with your boyfriend and his neighbor. Said she realized she'd been wrong about what you need. Andre looked down at his hands. If Maya Beaumont can admit she was wrong, I guess I can too. Andre, I thought I could convince you to come back to me. I thought if I made him look bad enough, you'd see that I was the better choice. And now? Now I see that you're not a prize to be won. You're a person making her own choices, and I need to respect that. Andre stood up and straightened his suit jacket. I hope he makes you happy, Z. Really happy. You deserve that. Thank you. And if he ever hurts you, I reserve the right to make his life difficult. Zara smiled. Noted. After Andre left, Zara sat alone in her office feeling lighter than she had in weeks. The pressure was lifting. The opposition was crumbling. Love was winning. Her phone buzzed with a text from Evan. Pier at sunset? I have something to ask you. Zara typed back, see you there. Then she spent the rest of the afternoon trying not to think about what he might want to ask. The pier at sunset was their place now. They'd walked it enough times that they knew every weathered board, every loose railing, every spot where the fish liked to gather. Evan was waiting at their usual bench, looking nervous and excited at the same time. "Hey," Zara said, sitting beside him. "Hey yourself?" They watched the sun sink toward the horizon, painting the water gold and orange. A few couples walked past, holding hands and talking quietly. Normal people living normal lives full of ordinary love. "So," Zara said, "you had something to ask me." "Right," Evan took a deep breath. "This isn't what you think it is." "What do I think it is?" "A proposal. I mean, it is a proposal, but not that kind. Not yet." Zara's heart did a little flip. "What kind then?" Evan turned to face her on the bench. "I want to propose that we stop hiding, stop apologizing for what we are, stop letting other people's opinions matter more than our own." "Okay." "I want to propose that we go public, really public, hold hands at the hotel, have dinner with your business associates. Let me pick you up for dates instead of meeting somewhere neutral. You want to claim me publicly. I want to stand beside you proudly, and I want you to stand beside me the same way." Zara felt her heart swell with love and pride and pure joy. Yes. Yes. Yes to all of it. Yes to going public. Yes to being proud of what we are. Yes to letting the whole world see that I'm in love with you. Evan grinned and pulled her into his arms. They kissed as the sun touched the water, surrounded by the sound of waves and seagulls and their own laughter. "There's one more thing," Evan said when they pulled apart. "What's that?" "Sunday dinner with your mother, at your family home, with me as your official boyfriend, not your dirty little secret." Zara thought about the last family dinner, the ambush about the bankruptcy, the careful manipulations and loaded conversations. Then she thought about Ruth's words. "You got to live your life, not theirs." "She'll probably grill you," Zara warned. "I can handle it. She might ask inappropriate questions about your financial situation. I'll answer them honestly. She'll definitely judge your table manners. I'll use my good silverware skills." Zara laughed and kissed him again. "Sunday dinner it is." They walked back along the pier, hand in hand as the first stars appeared overhead. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new conversations, new tests of their commitment to each other. But tonight, they were just two people in love, walking toward a future they would build together. One honest conversation at a time. Sunday dinner at the Beaumont family home was nothing like Zara had expected. For starters, her mother had cooked, not ordered catering or hired a chef, but actually put on an apron and spent the afternoon in the kitchen. "I thought it would be more personal," Maya explained when Zara and Evan arrived. The dining room table was set simply. No crystal, no formal china, just the everyday dishes and cloth napkins. It looked like a family dinner instead of a business meeting. "Evan," Maya said warmly, taking his hands, "thank you for coming. Thank you for having me, Mrs. Beaumont." "Maya, please." Dinner was pot roast with vegetables, comfort food that filled the house with warm smells and made conversation easy. Maya asked Evan about his business, his plans for expansion, his thoughts on the local economy. She listened to his answers without judgment, nodding thoughtfully and asking follow-up questions that showed genuine interest. "Zara tells me you're very close to your neighbor," Maya said over dessert. "Ruth, she's been like family to me since I moved here." "Family's important. Blood family and chosen family both." Maya looked at Zara meaningfully. "I'm learning that sometimes our children choose family members we didn't expect. But if they're good people who love our children well, then they become our family too." After dinner, Maya excused herself to make coffee, leaving Zara and Evan alone in the dining room. "That went better than expected," Zara said. "Your mom's pretty great when she's not trying to control everything." "She likes you." "How can you tell?" "She used the good dessert plates." When Maya returned with coffee, she had a small wrapped package with her. "This is for you," she said, handing it to Evan. Inside the box was a pocket watch, old and well-maintained, with initials engraved on the back. JB. "That was Zara's father's watch," Maya said. "He always said it would go to the man who truly loved his daughter." Evan stared at the watch, clearly overcome. "Mrs. Beaumont, Maya, I can't accept this." "Yes, you can. James would have liked you. You have the same quiet strength he had, the same way of taking care of people without making a show of it. Thank you, Evan said quietly. I'll treasure it. And I'll trust you to treasure my daughter. 2 months later, Zara stood in the hotel lobby watching Evan install a new security system. He'd gotten the contract through his own merit, not through any family connections, and she couldn't have been prouder. The cameras in the parking garage will connect to this central panel, he was explaining to the front desk staff. If you see anything suspicious, just hit this button and it'll automatically save the footage. Maria, the concierge, nodded seriously. What about the back entrance? Same system. Everything feeds to the main office so you can monitor the whole property from one location. Zara smiled watching him work. Professional, competent, respected by her staff for his expertise rather than his relationship with the boss. Miss Beaumont? Jennifer appeared at her elbow. Your mother's on? Line 1. Thanks. Zara picked up the phone in her office. Hi, Mom. How's the security installation going? Great. Evan's team is very professional. Good. Oh, and I spoke to Mrs. Henderson about the country club membership. What about it? She said they'd be happy to sponsor Evan for membership if he's interested. Apparently her husband's been impressed with his work on their cars. Zara smiled. 6 months ago, her mother had been trying to buy Evan off. Now she was helping him network. I'll mention it to him. Also, Ruth called. She wants to know if you're free for Sunday dinner next week. Something about a celebration. What are we celebrating? She wouldn't say, but she sounded excited. Sunday dinner at Ruth's was a larger gathering than usual. Mrs. Chen was there with her grandson. Tarek brought his girlfriend. The upstairs neighbors came down with their new baby. Ruth had made a feast: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, fresh rolls, and 3 different kinds of pie. What are we celebrating? Zara asked as they all gathered around the extended table that took up most of Ruth's living room. Life, Ruth said simply. Love, family. The good things that happen when people have courage to choose joy over fear. She raised her glass of sweet tea. To Zara and Evan, for showing us what it looks like to fight for what matters. Everyone toasted, voices mixing in a warm chorus of agreement. As Zara looked around the table at these people who had become her chosen family, she felt her heart overflow with gratitude. 6 months ago, she'd been living a careful, controlled life designed to meet other people's expectations. She'd had everything she was supposed to want and nothing that actually made her happy. Now she had love, real, honest, sometimes difficult love that required courage and compromise and daily choice. She had a community of people who accepted her without conditions. She had a partner who saw her clearly and chose her anyway. What are you thinking about? Evan asked softly, taking her hand under the table. How lucky I am, she said. We're both lucky. Around them, conversation flowed and laughter bubbled up like a spring. Mrs. Chen's grandson showed off his science fair trophy. Tariq's girlfriend told embarrassing stories about his cooking attempts. The new baby slept peacefully in her mother's arms while everyone took turns holding her. I love this, Zara whispered to Evan. This life, these people, this feeling of belonging somewhere real. Evan squeezed her hand. Me too. As the evening wound down and people began saying their goodbyes, Ruth pulled Zara aside. You look happy, honey, she said. I am happy. Good. Your young man treating you right? Better than right. He treats me like I matter. That's what love should do. Make you feel like you matter, like you're seen and valued and chosen every day. Ruth hugged her tightly. Your daddy would be proud of you for having the courage to choose love over safety. Driving home through the quiet streets, Zara and Evan held hands across the center console of his truck. The radio played softly, some old song about taking chances and following your heart. Ruth's right, you know, Evan said. Your father would be proud. How do you know? Because you turned out to be exactly the kind of woman he hoped you'd become. Strong, independent, kind, brave enough to trust your own heart. Zara squeezed his hand. What about you? Are you proud of who you've become? I'm getting there. Having you believe in me helps. I do believe in you. In us. Even when it's hard? Especially when it's hard. They pulled up in front of Zara's apartment building. Evan walked her to her door, as he did every night, and kissed her goodbye under the streetlight. See you tomorrow? He asked. See you tomorrow. But as Zara watched him drive away, she realized she didn't want to wait until tomorrow. She wanted to fall asleep beside him and wake up to his face every morning. She wanted to build a life with him, day by ordinary day. She wanted forever. 6 months ago, she'd said she didn't date white men. It had been a rule designed to protect her from complications, from family disapproval, from having to choose between love and duty. But rules were made to be broken by the right person at the right time for the right reasons. And Evan Cole, with his kind eyes and steady hands and patient heart, was definitely the right person. Tomorrow, she decided, she'd tell him so. Tomorrow, she'd ask him to stop saying goodbye at her door and start saying goodnight in her bedroom. Tomorrow, she'd choose love over fear once and for all. But tonight, she went to sleep smiling, dreaming of a future built on honesty and laughter and the quiet courage it takes to love someone completely. In the distance, the pier stretched into the dark water like a promise of new horizons. And somewhere across town, a mechanic named Evan Cole was probably lying awake too, thinking about forever with a woman brave enough to rewrite her own rules. Love had won, just like it was supposed to.